Myanmar is a land of wonders, as testified by the temples of the ancient city of Bahagan. It is a land of pristine beauty that homes over 100 ethnic groups, many of which with their own language and culture, making Myanmar one of the most diverse countries in the world. While the majority of the population follows Buddhism in its oldest form, the Theravada, all large religions of the world are found here. Relations between them, however, have been marked by violent persecution, especially against Muslim minorities. Still, daily religious offerings are common even in large cities like Yangon, Myanmar's biggest city and capital until 2006. Street restaurants and tea shops are everywhere, serving all sorts of food from dawn to dusk. Noodles, fried rice, a myriad of tropical fruits, Burmese salads, fried snacks, and absurdly sweet desserts are some of the specialities served every day on the streets. Betel nut, a natural narcotic passed from limestone, is one of the most popular bad habits. The golden pagodas that dot the landscape of the country are social arenas and reflect the role Buddhism plays in shaping society. However, the smiles found in every face cannot hide the country's turbulent history.
We run back. Maybe it's Kachen.
In complete control of the country from 1962 to 2012, the military dictatorship implemented a regime of terror where any form of expression was regarded as a threat and was brutally suppressed. The military still sucks up most of the country's revenue at the expense of failing education, health, and infrastructure. Even today, with a civilian government in power, the military still hold control in parliament and continues to commit atrocities against minorities groups like the Kachin, the Shan, and the Rohingya in Rakhine state. Despotic rulers have accumulated large fortunes, while Myanmar has become one of the most poorest and most corrupt countries in the world. The military has tried to control every aspect of society, putting the population under brutal surveillance. In 2012, the military junta eased its grip on power. Sanctions were lifted and investment poured into Myanmar, but the rapid changes have not always been good to the population at large. In all those years of war, repression and violence, Myanmar people have shown incredible resilience and resourcefulness, and one aspect of society perfectly illustrates this: the cinema. With limited resources but unbeatable determination, local filmmakers have created an industry that has flourished almost independently from the rest of the world. This is a movie industry that produces nearly 1,000 movies a year and has ingenious distribution models. Although the themes and stories are almost always the same, filmmakers keep reinventing the way they do business in order to survive. While mainstream directors and actors can rely on their income from cinema alone, they have to work on 2 to 3 movies every month. As the industry grows, the budget of mainstream films also grows, but they are still very low, requiring a lot of creativity and commitment. In an abandoned building in central Yangon, independent filmmaker Miet No is in a shooting. With a tight budget, the crew explores all possibilities the building offers.
Today we are on the music video set of mine, and then this is actually a very dilapidated building that I found by chance, and it's basically it's missing about 2 walls, and this is where we are shooting. It's pretty authentic. So yeah, this is the set.
With a motivation that far surpasses material gains, crew and cast have to be creative, constantly adapting their plans according to the circumstances. Good cameras have just entered the country. thanks to the relaxation of sanctions and of the control over imports. As education is highly valued in Myanmar society, young filmmakers are very quickly mastering the new equipment.
We have a little bit more difficulties than the other directors in other countries, I think, because our industry has basically been, our film industry has basically been reduced to super low budget status during the last 50 years for so many reasons. So now we are basically working from the scratch. We don't have studios, we don't have latest sound equipments, even though we have the latest cameras, and we cannot shoot at a lot of places. So, and of course, being very low budget, the producers tend to be, a little bit stingy with the money. Because of these factors, it's extra tough to be a filmmaker here in Burma.
Drawing from the experience of established and new actors and directors, the MMPO has been preserving the history of Myanmar cinema and supporting new productions.
Our motion picture industry was established since 1919. Although it was at the stage of social entrepreneur, we had a golden time in 50s. In 1962, when the Revolutionary Council became in power, they confiscated all our cinema halls.
Decades of fierce censorship, lack of resources, control of the raw material, such as 2 hours band limit for a 1.5-hour movie, led to considerable decrease in the number of productions throughout the next 40 years, to the point that only 7 films were made a year in the 70s and 80s. The quality of many films decreased dramatically. The unique aesthetic of Myanmar cinema and creativity are almost non-existent in more recent movies. The unconditional love for cinema can be seen everywhere. The cinema is a space where young couples and friends get together to chat, laugh and date, especially during films. Cinemas in Myanmar are always noisy. For $50, you can watch a movie on a cinema screen, making it a popular outing. But filmmakers do not depend only on cinema halls.
We have 2 different industries. One is film, one is video. Video, we can say home video, not on screen, distributing with a VCD and DVDs into the audience. So video industry is much bigger than film industry, because when 20 or 30 films produced in a year, there are 800 videos produced in a year parallelly.
2 busy roads in downtown Yangon are the heart and soul of this industry. At least 200 production companies are based here, about 50 of them properly registered and with visible offices. They produce films that are spread throughout the country, mainly in CDs, but also in DVDs and, less often, in cinema halls.
For the normal video, they only film 6 or 7 days for one video. For the film, they shoot 20 or 30 days. So film shoot is much bigger budget and much bigger production team, and there are a lot of difference. But video is quite easy. To be a video director is easier than to be a film director.
Many production companies, like Myanmar's, sell their content in CDs instead of DVDs because CDs do not need to pass their censorship board and are cheaper. Joao produces his own movies and even acts in some of them. He makes 12 video movies a year and distributes up to 10,000 copies each time. Despite these significant numbers, the earnings are barely enough to support the business, as he makes only $400 to $500 per movie.
We can say that Myanmar films are not into the international films market yet, and a lot of people trying to do that, and now we are collaborating with international productions and make the joint venture films.
Yangon train station, 7:30 a.m. The temperature is already well over 30 degrees. Any strategy is valid to cope with the intense heat. As people wait for the overcrowded trains, fruit sellers offer a little refreshment. But behind the train lines, something unexpected is happening. A mainstream Myanmar movie is being shot. It doesn't take long before people on their way to work stop and check out the shooting, and the crew gets ready for action. In a growing trend, the movie is directed by an Indian and a local filmmaker. The idea is to gain experience and produce films with higher quality, which is essential now that foreign films are again allowed to be screened in Myanmar. This unfriendly and potentially hazardous environment doesn't seem to put off actors or crew. Neither does the humidity nor the heat, now close to 40 degrees. While filmmakers have a few good equipment, everything seems improvised. When the director needs a scene with smoke, the rubbish laying around becomes part of the production. In the courtyard of a Buddhist temple located between the deactivated train lines, the makeup team prepares the star of the film for the next scene. But a new figure has arrived. It doesn't look like 2 directors and dozens of assistants are enough, so the screenwriter comes in to give a hand. He quickly joins the directors and is ready to change the script as the shooting goes on. But some actors look a bit confused with so many bosses around. It doesn't take long before the screenwriter starts directing a scene.
Take one, action.
The shooting went on until late that night. The movie itself was completed in a couple of weeks, but it will only be in the cinema in about 2 years due to the limited number of cinema halls.
We have a queuing system, not like international. It's very strange because when you done your film, you have to queue up to be on a cinema screen, because we only have 2 or 3 cinema groups in the country.
Despite the small number of cinema halls and recent international competition, the mainstream industry is booming. At least 60 films for cinema halls and nearly 1,000 films for DVDs were made in 2015, about 3 times the numbers of the previous year. But a new generation of filmmakers, some of them educated abroad, think this growth might be the last song of the song.
But for the Myanmar mainstream movie, it might be popular in Myanmar people, but they have no quality to step on in the national film market. With very few films we can see that it can show in the international competition and film festival. Something like Kayan Beauty, made by Angola. Something like Mudra's Calling, made by Christina Key. She was from US. film schools, and she and her husband working together to make a very good film named Mudra's Calling.
First of all, no matter where I went, I am in Myanmar. So I always wanted to come back to my own country.
Well, in Mudra's Calling, though, we had an opportunity to prepare extensively for the production. We took about a couple of months for the pre-production period. We had a chance to work with an acting coach who was specifically preparing for us for this particular project.
My name is Jaden Williams. I was born right here, in Myanmar. This is the first time coming back to my birthplace since I left to the United States with my family when I was 2.
The problem in Myanmar cinema is that they don't give enough time to prepare, not enough time to shoot, not enough time to do the editing, the post-production, so that you got to give enough time if you want to achieve good art.
Make the film with 20 days or 1 month, and then they move to another film.
The untouched beauty. It's so mesmerizing. It's preserved so well. It's like a scent of a breeze that you always remember. It can sweep away all your fatigues of life.
What's happening?
I think they are taking a vow in front of Buddha, because grave repercussions cast upon those who perpetrate. People stop taking vows to avoid bad things from befalling them.
Smart. I'm totally kidding.
I can't.
For independent filmmakers like Myanmar, cinema is mainly a passion. They explore different genres, boosting creativity in an industry marked by repetition of themes and stories.
I just wanted to make a movie, but unlike other directors, I do not want to approach the production companies to finance my movie. So instead, I self-financed it. I did two romance, and then 2 thrillers, and then 1 comedy. So I think I do not stick. I don't stick to one genre. I do a little bit of everything. Because here the pays are low, right? So, in order to be able to make a living through making movies, you have to be making at least 1 to 2 straight to DVD movies a month. Otherwise there's no way you can make a living. So for people like us, so-called indie, so-called independent filmmakers, we have to, take other jobs. Like in my case, I do translations and interpretations and stuff like that. That's how I'm making a living. So for me, filmmaking is more like a hobby or a passion rather than a profession that will make me, able to make a living out of it.
The way the mainstream is going now is, it's very businesslike. It's not about art at all.
They've been singing this kind of same film and same story and same actors long enough.
师姐，我哋每日俾我嚟啊！我就年我拍嚟要年未嚟到，နောက်ထပ်ပါတစ်ဖက်ပါငါထိုက်ရိုက်ခံနေအောင်嘛，明白？
In order to create good art, like I said, you have to give a lot of time. And time is something that they don't have.
Challenges are we need international standards and international practice, and we need discipline principles, and we need systematic workflow.
Myanmar mainstream industry heavily relies on a network of shops around the country to rent movies for 30 cents of a dollar. The reality, however, is that Myanmar is rapidly changing. The increasing accessibility to internet and the expansion of cable TV will force the industry to change its model. There is much talk about foreign investors opening new cinema halls, but up to now, no concrete action has been taken. Many hope the government will support local productions, but again, there is no sign this will happen anytime soon. The competition from international movies pose a great challenge to Myanmar cinema. While some production companies are improving the quality of their movies and investing more, they now face the most advanced industries like Korean, Indian, Chinese, and American. Many questions remain. Will the taste of Myanmar people change with all those new choices? Will Myanmar cinema be able to cope with international competition? Can it touch the international audience? It is impossible to predict what will happen to the Myanmar movie industry, but it is certainly a story worth watching.
Take two, action.